Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be customizing the filler neck where we put fuel in this custom welding bed that we're building. Once we get our filler neck situated, I can then go ahead and put our top deck. I'll be using 1/4" plate. We're gonna have a seam right here. I went ahead and put me in a brace right there because we're gonna have a seam right there, and then it'll be notched out around the welding machine, and then obviously flush with this bed panel. Custom filler neck. We got a 1¼ 90 on our diesel filler. We got this gobbed up mess filling up our previous breather hole. Turns out there's some brass. There was some brass on here whenever they welded that on, so that was interesting. So I had to put more of a gob on there than I planned on, but it doesn't matter, it should work. So yeah, just a 1¼ 90 with a little pup here for this to clamp onto, for the hose to clamp onto. And then for the DEF, I used a 1" 90 and a coupler, and then some JB weld to weld to the plastic filler neck. Used the original hoses, but instead of turning this way and coming up right here, we turned them the opposite way. We've got our plate set up on stands out there, and to make a long story short, I'm just going to take several measurements from the front here to right here, for instance, 26. So I'll go over to my sheet, make sure it's turned the right way, and from that same edge, the edge that's going to be along here, I'll pull 26 inches and then pull a lot of measurements, and I'll take these caps off, and I'll find the center of the diesel, center of the DEF, make sure there's holes there. Then I'll also measure for each screw hole. There's 3 screw holes in each filler situation here. And then it'll be tricky to get this angle, but I'll do that also. The easiest way to get this angle would be to, once I could potentially just notch out for the weld machine and then bring that sheet in here, which is what I might do, and then notch out my holes here, set it on here, poke these through there, and then take my handy dandy soapstone and trace right underneath here, and then pull it back off, go cut that, and then measure for my little bitty holes. That's most likely what I'm going to do. We'll see how it actually goes. By the way, you can find this brass soapstone holder in the arosswelding store, arosswelding.com, as well as the soapstone to go along with. Alright, it's the next day. This thing's had plenty of time to cool off. Now I'm going to cut out our DEF hole and our filler neck hole. I'm using the circle burner on this Victor straight torch. The circle burner we do sell in the Aros Welding store. Super handy for situations like this. Alright, now we'll cut these little tabs we left. 1/2 inch there, 1/2 inch, and 1/2 inch. That section will fall out. We'll take a grinder to the back of all this, make sure all the slag's off, carry the piece in, dry fit it, make our angle mark, yada yada yada. Moving right along. All right, oh, looky there. That right there is just slick now. I don't care who you are. Everything's decently lined up. Like I said, I'm gonna mark it down here, right along this bedside, but before I do that, I'm gonna keep a steady eye on everything else. Make sure I got an even corner to weld in everywhere. I'm going to go up underneath with a flashlight and make sure these are seated right. You can kind of see this one's kind of angled. I got to make sure it's where it's supposed to be, up against that way where I planned. Same with this one. I'm going to try to mark them holes, and then we'll drill them holes. Another thing I need to lay out while I'm up here is my lead welds. I'm going to do it similar to my truck. I'm just going to cut a hole, 3 holes here, like rectangles with the radius corners, and then I'm going to do that while it's out there also. So got to lay all that out, make sure those are where I want to be, and then before I put this back on, I'm going to finish the lead wells. I'm going to put one, two, three, an end cap and 2 other dividers in here for our lead wells. That'll be in the lead well video, in a different video of this series. Alright, so I just thought of a little trick. I took some paint marker and I put a mark on the filler neck and my plate on both where I want it to live. And then after I get through marking this angled part, I'll disconnect them hose clamps and pull my nozzles off. And then whenever I have this upside down to cut everything, I'll lay them in there, line the marks up, and then mark my holes. Alright, got all our holes drilled, got our bolts in here, so everything's fastened. I did have to use a little die grinder here on a couple of these holes to make sure they all lined up, but that's why I went ahead and bolted these on, just to make sure all the bolt holes did line up. And then now I'm going to make that cut and then pull some measurements for where our lead well holes are going to be. Lay all that out, cut those, and then this side of the top deck will be done. Then we'll just have to do the same thing, but with yeah, pretty much the same thing on the other side, but all we'll have on the passenger side is a hole for our acetylene and a hole for our rod box. And chances are that'll go in another video whenever we do the bottles and the rod box. So this here is called, well, the only term I know is whiskey stick. Cutting guide, there we go, cutting guide. It's got magnets on it back here. This one here is built in, the magnets are built in. They make magnets that you can put on like a 4-foot straight edge and whatnot, but pretty handy. I could have used this to cut these, but like I said, I just wanted to freehand it. But on this one, I'm going to go ahead and practice with my whiskey stick. It's not a bad idea to take some, what does my buddy use? Emery cloth, and clean up your tip, and then kind of run some emery cloth right here. That way everything slides nice and smooth. That's one of the little tips to this whiskey stick. My goal is to cut just like a torch, what do you call it, the chafe or whatever, just how much ever metal the torch tip cuts out, that's how much I want to go inside my line, because our body panel is only, I forget how thick. I want to say it's less than an 1/8 inch. It might be 12 gauge, but I want to say it's less than that. But I do want to go just slightly inside my mark. All right, I got her flipped back over. We got her tapered down. Now, I think I'm actually going to wrap up this video right here, because the next thing I'm doing is laying out my lead well holes, and that'll be in the lead well video, as well as what I did over there on the bed for the lead wells for the bottom, outside panel and everything. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for coming along with me today. If you're interested in the circle burner we used in today's video, you can check out our website, arosswelding.com. There should be a list of part numbers for the exact torch and the straight attachment that the circle burner works on. But if you do have any questions about the circle burner or anything else you see in the store, you can text us at 405-643-7176. Thanks again for being here. Have an awesome weekend, awesome day, and remember, learn something every day.